All right. So I'm not going to try to move around a lot and shake my chair, make it all squeaky and shit. Today was a very productive, non productive day. Productive with family stuff. Not very productive comedy wise, even though I did come up with a couple jokes, wrote them down, got them. My son came up with something too that made me laugh my ass off, which is great. A lot of family time today. We went and bought a tree, got the tree up, decorated it. It looks nice. Wow. It's really good. What do you think, pups? What do you think, pups? Puppies. Puppies. The garland looks good.
Disneyland is on the 13th.
Put up a few decorations inside the house. Also got my new mic. Got my new mic. Yeah, so I only need one, but it comes with two. It's a Cinco G2, which I guess might be Gen 2. So far, these things are dope, dude. Like, I like them. Hopefully, I sound good. Sound better than my other one. I did a couple of tests earlier today. That is what I did today. One of the productive things I did. Tested them out, and I was shocked at how good they sounded. Now you can hear how bassy my voice is. Ooh. I don't know if I should keep the mic up here. I think it's who there's a couple people that are running around on YouTube. What's his name? Sam, the big bodybuilder. Sam Malik. I don't know. Sorry, forgive me. I can't think of his last name. He's a big bodybuilder, crazy big. I saw him. He was the first one I saw with a mic on his hat, and I was like, "What is that? Is that a microphone?" I wasn't sure, and then I saw the same transmitters on people's shirts and lapels. I was like, "Yep, it's a mic on his hat." And I don't know. I tried it on my shirt, tried it on my lapel, tried it on my hat. This seems to work good as long as I'm not breathing heavy into it or something. I don't know. Yeah, it comes with two transmitters, a receiver that I currently have hooked up into my cell phone. It's working great. It has a bunch of different connections. So if I want to hook it up to my Canon EOS 50, EOS M50, whatever the hell it's called. Anyways, yeah, today was, look, family is distracting when it comes to comedy, but also my babies, my wife, we get so much good material just interacting with each other. So that's great. I love it. I got years of material from them. But it does make it challenging when you want to be productive, when you want to go out and do stuff. And it isn't just them. Like, I play video games, I do other stuff. I get distracted with other things, not just my family. But sometimes you just want to do something and you're like, oh no, I can't. I got to drive my daughter over here. Oh, I want to go here. Like, oh, wait. We have baseball with my son. Oh, I want to go Christmas. So, for all the comics out there who have kids, who are married, in relationships, like, kudos. It's hard. It's very difficult. I'll say this, like, if you're a comedian, you're dealing with that. There, it's a lot different than if you're just single and can just go do whatever you want whenever you want. I mean, you can go to open mic every night if you want to. You can go to comedy shows if you want to. That's your bag. You have less hurdles in the way. And what I mean by hurdles, like, family's not hurdles, family's not baggage. But there is the, I want to go do something productive, but I can't because I love my family and I want my family. So you can't, some people are like, well, you got to choose. No, you don't. You got to find a balance between the two. And if that slows you down, if that slows your career down, so be it. I chose to be a father. I chose to be a husband. If it slows me down, it is what it is. It just is. Um, I'm not letting it be a reason for not doing comedy. I'm not letting it. They are actually the reason why I'm trying so hard. If I get to a level that I want to be at and it's 5 years from now, it could be 10 years from now, it could be 15 years from now, doesn't matter. Everyone wins. We all reap the benefits. But what I'm not going to do is like tell my kids, like, oh, yeah, dad can't be there. Dad can't be at any of the baseball games this year. That's one thing. If it's a big opportunity, if it's a big opportunity, like here's an example. My wife's birthday is sacred. Don't do anything on her birthday. But her and I have already discussed it. If a big opportunity arises and it's on or around her birthday, she's like, baby, she's like, of course you take that opportunity. She's like, we'll celebrate before or after. And I love that. That's my wife who absolutely supports me. So that can't be the case for every comic out there, every artist out there. I'm sure there's a lot of families where they're not as supportive. But also, you got to do your job. Like, I mean, my job is a husband. Got to take care of the wife. Job is a father. Got to take care of the kids. But now, like, my kids are. My son's still in the single. My son's 9. My daughter's 16. You can see the ages, I guess. But they're at an age where I can leave the house for a couple hours to go do an open mic. If I want to leave the house at 8 o'clock at night to go off to work and my wife's not home, I know I can leave my kids. My daughter will make sure my son gets in bed. My son is responsible. He knows roughly when his bedtime is. He'll go brush his teeth. He gets ready for bed. And I'm very, very fortunate for that because I've seen a lot of you out there with your kids, and my kids are better. Can I say that? Can I can I say that on YouTube? My kids are better. I don't care. I don't care. I can say it. My kids are better than your kids. Mm, I love Starbucks. And there's a funny look. Okay, so tonight we're finishing up dinner, and I tell my wife, I say, "Hey, babe, I'll go. You want to go get Starbucks with me?" And then my son goes, "Starbucks?" I'll go, "Yeah, I'm gonna go get my afternoon Starbucks. It's getting late. I'm tired. I need my caffeine boost, so I'm gonna go to Starbucks." My son, without a moment wasted, goes, "I need to get you a shock collar." And I was like, "Shock collar?" He goes, "Yeah, that just shocks you a little bit every time you mention Starbucks." Bro just wrote another joke for me. I mean, dude, this kid is so fast, so witty, so funny. And I'm just like, my wife and I are dying. This kid knows me. He's very observant. And like, and I talk about Starbucks too much, I guess, apparently. Well, that's where all my comedy like started at Starbucks. So my whole comedy career, my origin story started at Starbucks. Talk about that another time. I've talked about Starbucks so much over the years and how my origin story comedy started. I'm sure I could do a video on it if I haven't already. I've like have over 120 videos on YouTube. One of those has to talk about my Starbucks incident. Quite honestly, I'm just embarrassed about it. I just shouldn't talk about it anymore. Mm. But yeah, family time. Family time, being a comic. Like my wife wanted to go to Disneyland in a couple weeks, and she decided to put it on a date without asking me. And it's on a day where I am performing out in Santa Barbara, which is a few hours north of Los Angeles. And she wants to go to Disneyland that day. I'm like, no, no. Okay, if I did shows every single day, if I did shows every single day and I never got a day off and she wanted to go to Disneyland on a day, I could see turning it off. Turning off comedy for a day, going with my family to Disneyland. But it's December. I don't have a lot of shows. Holidays are coming up. I just don't have a lot of shows. We just went to Universal a few days ago. We won tickets. Well, okay. We didn't win tickets, but we got tickets. So I do this thing. I'll call the local radio station. It's called 104.3 My FM. It's Valentine in the morning. He does this whole game. It's trivia where he talks about it's males versus females. It's a battle of the sexes. And I've played 4 times. I've lost 3 out of the 4 times. Lost one, won one, and this was a couple years ago. I think it was 2 years ago. Won one. We won tickets to like SpongeBob the musical. Should write some jokes around that. That's just so stupid. Uh, and it was right around COVID time, so we never actually went. And then finally got on. I think a week ago, last week. Yeah, I think it was last week, right before Thanksgiving. And I got on. I lost by one question, and I was kind of bummed out. And they announced what because they don't tell you what you're playing for until after there's a winner. And the winner won a 4 pack of tickets to Six Flags Magic Mountain. And I looked over, and my daughter was in the car, and she's just like, and she was looking at me, like giving me the stink eye. And I was like, oh, I was like, well, they're letting me do my send off. So after you're done playing, the loser gets to give people shout outs on the radio and stuff like that. So I'm giving my shout outs to my wife, giving my shout outs to my family. But then I say on the radio, I'm like, oh, and I'm looking at my daughter right now. She's giving me the stink eye, like Magic Mountain's like her favorite place in the world. She's 16, so she's at that age, and she's all mad I didn't win. And I was just saying it because that's what really happened. And she was looking at me. I'm just, And then they're like, is your daughter in the car? I go, yeah, she's right next to me. And they're like, can we talk to her? I'm like, yeah. And they asked her name, asked her if she wanted 4 tickets to Magic Mountain, and she said yes. So they gave us 4 tickets to Magic Mountain. So we didn't win the game, but they gave us the tickets. So that was awesome. So thank you, Valentine and Jill and John and all those people over there. But we have that on the calendar this month. My wife wants to do Disneyland, and she just picked a date without talking to me. All she has to do is say, "Hey, do you have a show on this day?" Let me check my calendar. Yes, I do. Okay, I'll check another date. That's all that had to happen, but she didn't ask. So now she either has to go with the kids alone or she's got to change the dates. I don't have enough shows to change my dates. Plus, I like coming to Santa Barbara. I like those shows. So my girl Jessica Winter produces some shows up there, and she's been bringing me up there, and I like it. Crowds not huge, but they come out to laugh. It's a fun show. Man. But I am trying to post every day. It is Christmas. People are like, Vlogmas, Vlogmas. I am vlogging, but I'm not vlogging like, hey, check out this holiday sweater I knitted. Buy it at Etsy. Only $9.99. I don't do that shit. Maybe eventually I'll get into the mood a little more and like I don't know. I just don't see it being a thing right now. I'm really focused on comedy. Like I said, I have my family distracting the shit out of me. I have other vices. I do play video games. Look, if I could tell anyone anything, like if I could go back and talk to myself, people are like, "Oh, if you could go to time machine and you can go back, 20 years, what would you say?" And people are like, "Put all your money in Coca Cola. Put all your money in GameStop. Put all your money in." Oh, I tell myself not to marry her. I tell myself, make sure you say yes when they ask you if you want that job. Like, no. I literally, like, I think the number one thing I would go back and say is don't play video games. I think that's the number one thing I would say. Because video games are fun, but they're addicting. They're crack. They're heroin. They are a drug. They suck you in and suck all the time out. I mean, you turn on a video game, could be World of Warcraft, could be Xbox, could be PlayStation, any computer game, any console game. If you have that addictive personality, then you're going to turn it on and lose complete track of time. So like now, what I've been trying to do lately is if I'm gonna play, let's say I'm gonna play Xbox today, or I'm gonna play on my computer today, I will set a timer, a realistic timer. Like no one's gonna play a video game for 30 minutes. It's just not gonna happen. But what I'll do is I'll set my timer for 2 hours, or I'll say, okay, I'm gonna set my timer for an hour and 45 minutes. So I give myself 2 hours to play. But an hour and 45 minutes it goes off, and I go, oh, okay, because I know if 2 hours hits, I'm not just gonna stand up and turn my computer off. I mean that's not realistic either. But I will, like an hour and 45 minutes in, I'll be like, oh shit, I got to get off. So I'll get myself in a good place wherever whatever game I'm playing, whatever I'm doing, and then start winding down. So I'm out in 2 hours. I feel like that's a little more realistic because if I don't do that, I'll literally turn a game on and then I'll look at my watch later and realize like 5.5 hours went by. And that is a killer. Total killer. It's a sex killer. It's a relationship killer. It's a job killer. It's a career goal oriented killer. Like it. And the people who make those video games know damn well that's what it is. They make a huge amount of money because they're working. People are like, I want to make video games, and they're really big gamers. I'm like, no, you don't. You want to play video games. Like, don't be a tartar, dude. Like, but if I could go back in time, that's what I'd say. No video games. I didn't even. I think I'm so addicted to them too because I grew up. My cousins all had video games, and my parents, no. I don't think it was because they didn't want us to have them. I think it's because they just didn't have any money, or at least they acted like they had no money. We were just told get out of the house. I get out of school 3 o'clock, 2:30, 3 o'clock. There were years where my mom was just at home watching TV. She'd be watching stupid soap operas like General Hospital and shit. She'd say, get out of the house. And then when I was older, in high school, she started working, but I didn't have a computer. We didn't have smartphones. So, yeah, I mean, no one's in the house. So I left. I went to wherever my friends were, wherever my girlfriends were. That's where I went. But I think when I was finally able to get into video games, which was in my mid 20s, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. Amazing. Huge time suck. Like like I've played World of Warcraft almost since its inception, 2004, 2005, whatever it was. I've been playing that game for well over 15 years, 16 years. And I like to think I'm not as addicted to it now, and I don't think I am, but I'm still addicted to it. Like, they designed that game. It's just stupid. It's stupid, crazy how addicted that game is. And yeah, I don't know. I think that's part of like hanging on to like the old you or your old friends circles. Like I used to play with all my friends and they've all moved on. Like they've all moved out of state. They don't live here. Some I talk to, some I don't. But some of my closest friends, like we all played that game, and maybe I like it so much because I'm like hanging on to those memories and playing those games. Like I have the constant memories of playing it with them. I'm a very social person. I don't like being solo. I just don't. I like being around people. I think that's why I like comedy. It's solo when you're up on stage. Like the performance is solo, but it's very much for me, it's very much a community. It's for me it's a team. We're all working towards the same goal. Bigger shows, bigger laughs, funnier jokes, bigger careers, being in front of the cameras, being on big stages in front of bigger and bigger audiences, going for the bigger high. Because it is a drug. It's addictive. Getting those laughs is so addictive, and I love it. And honestly, like there's no better feeling than making 200 people, like making 10 people laugh is hilarious. It's amazing. It feels great. But making 50 people laugh feels even better. Making 100 people laugh, oh, making 300 people laugh, it's amazing, dude. I love it. Such a high. Such a high. Don't do it though. I don't need the competition. I'm kidding. You can get into it if you want to, but but it's hard. It's definitely hard. I got some jokes to write. Uh, Today I was like going, I need holiday jokes. I need holiday jokes. I want to write some holiday jokes. You know, you get into certain seasons or around certain holidays or certain historical event like 9/11. There's a historical remembrance of 9/11. So I have several 9/11 jokes. Like people are like, you can't laugh, you can't make jokes about that. Of course you can. Comedy is written in pain. A lot of comedy is written in pain. But I'm trying to write some holiday jokes. I want to write some more holiday stuff. Yeah. So yeah, this is not going to be a long video for today. A little more stuff to do on my computer. Got to pay some bills. Still got to do that. God. Oh, and I just finally got my first job since all the writer strikes, the SAG strike, the actor strike. Like I've been out of work for 6 months, 6.5 months, something like that. Let's see. April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November. Wait, well, 7.5 months because even though it's 8 months, 7.5 months because my last job was mid-April, so I haven't worked since mid-April. But I finally picked up 2 days on a Will Ferrell movie. We're doing some pickup shots for it coming up in a few days, so that's cool. It'd be good to see some of the crew also make some money and just honestly just get the hell out of this house. I've been stuck here for months, which is great. I've had more time to work on my comedy. I've had a lot of time to network, go out and get shows. And quite honestly, I've been getting booked a lot more. I've been getting paid more, and that's great. But I also like I made good money in the film industry. The goal for 2024 is to get out of the film industry completely, not be reliant on grip work. That is a huge goal of mine for 2024, and I got to reverse construct that goal. Like, what do I need to do? Because I know my number is $3,000 a month. I got to make $3,000 a month as a comedian, so that I don't have to grip, because that's how much I need to pay bills. So, I'm working with some friends, we're trying to figure out some touring stuff for this next year. I'm trying to figure out some corporate comedy gigs personally, like trying to move in that direction. And we're getting there. We're getting there. So, and also I got to lose this weight. So maybe you guys will be watching me on camera. Maybe I'll do some workouts and stuff. Again, this is a comedian's day to day life, dude. I'm showing you guys everything I can. This is me journaling. It's my wife said I need a journal, and I have several journals. Now my journals, I just I have leather bound journals. I'm like, do I have one right here? I don't. They're upstairs. But like, I have leather bound journals. I just write jokes in there, but I don't journal. I'm not like, well, this guy Steven said to me today that he really didn't like the fact that I was losing my hair. And then I said, fuck you, Steven. I don't like you either. Like, I'm not gonna write that shit down. But I can record it on camera and put it on YouTube. And if it helps anybody, if any of these little pieces of wisdom along the way help you, that's great. If I'm doing this so for me, so I can go back and watch this, maybe I can find some material out of it, but I'm also doing it for you so that if you want to follow along and see this is where Chris Kidder is today. This is where he was 2 years ago. This is where he was 5 years ago. But look at him today. He's going out and he's featuring on a TV show. Oh, here he is. He's opening for Bill Burr. Oh, here he is headlining at this comedy club in Chicago. And oh, here he is. He's going on tour in Spain. Like I want to see I'm doing this so I can see if I can have that natural progression. Let me work my ass off and then we can get around all the bullshit. Okay, all the YouTubers, I love you all. It's fun. I spend a lot of time on YouTube. I watch a lot of content on YouTube. But there's a lot of fluff. Like today I watched a video of this guy, the metal detectors, the people you see the dumbasses, the white sunscreen on their nose walking around the beach. So I'm watching a video. It was a short. I think it was a YouTube short. This guy's all like, the title of the video is how one video that shows how I became rich. And then he's going through, there's like ice on the banks of the water, and he's over this water that looks like it's 6 inches deep. And all of a sudden, goes off, right? So he pulls out his shovel and he starts digging, and he ends up pulling out, which looks like a metal like tackle box, yay big. He gets it out, pulls it to the side, opens it up. It's full of sand. First off, it's a metal tackle box, not one bit of rust on it. In fact, it still looked fairly shiny. He goes to open it up. It's full of sand on the inside. But then he starts, moving the sand with his hands. And then there's coins. And he gets a close up of the coins, but it isn't. But it's kind of a fast movement across the coins. And I was like, they look like quarters. Like they were all shiny. Like brand new looking shiny. And I was like, this looks like bullshit. Like, you're going to go. So you have a YouTube following. You have 500 followers, 1,000 followers, 500,000 followers, 1,000,000 followers, whatever you have. I don't give a shit. And you're like, I got to give them content. I got to give them content. Hey, Ben, will you help me? I'm going to go. Can you go to the bank and go get like, I don't know, thinking maybe like 10 quarter rolls for me? Yeah, what do you need for it? Oh, I'm going to do this whole metal detector like video where I'm going to bury the coins inside of a metal like container so it looks older. I found it at the military surplus store. And then then I'm going to act like I pulled it out and how I got rich. And it's going to get so many hits and so many likes. Why does that guy have a lisp? I don't know. I think when I talk about people, I automatically go with a lisp. My brain does. Even when I do that with my wife, when I'm mocking my wife, and then my wife's like, "Let's go look at the birds." She doesn't sound like that, but I say that. But yeah, dude, like, okay, I'm making this content as raw as possible. Call it a reality TV show. You can see me, you can see my wife, my kids, whatever. Reality, but reality. Basic edits. Edits are very linear. This happened now, then the next cut, then the next cut, then the next cut. I don't need to cut out all the The empty spaces, if you don't want to listen to it, don't fucking listen to it. I don't care. But if you're listening to it, you're seeing the real me. Period. And we'll see if anything happens with the YouTube channel, with the comedy career. Like if I post stuff on YouTube, it's probably going to be, if anything gets posted other than these, it's going to be shorts with some crowd work, maybe some jokes I've actually written, but that's my intellectual property, so I don't like just giving that away. Like I want you to come and see that, but you need to come out to a show. But I can put the crowd work on there, and so there'll be that. I've had a couple of buddies say like, "Oh, I like it when you do your interviews and stuff. Are you gonna do more interviews?" Yeah, probably at some point. But right now, I got to focus on my family, and I got to focus comedy wise. I need to focus on me. I need to focus on writing jokes, building material, getting on stage as much as possible, and I'll share that with y'all. But interviews take a lot of time. It's planning. What questions are we asking? Then there's the editing portion. You got to edit all of that together, and I've done all that. I've done a lot of that. You can go back and watch those if you want. They're great. They're fun, but that's I'm not getting anything out of it. Yeah, I might get a snippet of if I'm interviewing the person, like I might learn from their experiences, like because I have. But at this point, like I don't need to hear about your career as a comedian because I have my own career. I'm trying to learn what I need to learn, which is getting on stage more, putting in the hours, writing my jokes, learning my jokes, hearing your story about how you got into a drunken brawl, out in Seattle back in 93 doesn't help me in my career. So you're going to tell me this whole funny story, probably funny story, just so at the end you can be like, yeah, kidder, like whatever you do, like don't drink before you go up on stage because you might say something you don't like and someone's going to throw a beer bottle at your head and then a full on bar fight's going to happen. Like, I'm not going to get up there and, okay, I know that. That's common fucking sense, dude. I don't need some old timer telling me that shit. And that's the kind of shit. Like, if I post that interview, that might help you because you might have never done comedy before and you're thinking about it. So you're like, But at this point, I got to focus on the goal, the prize, the career. Like I've been wanting to do my podcast. Wanted to do a podcast, and it was just a solo podcast, me talking, which is basically what I'm doing right now. You can technically, I could probably upload these into a podcast format, sure, but this is for like doing a podcast is great. It's good exposure for a comedian, but every comedian has a podcast nowadays. So like you gotta have some purpose. So I had a really good idea for a podcast, but again, to shoot it, to edit, to upload, it is a lot of work, and it's like an annex to my career. Like it's an annex, auxiliary, whatever. Like it's an addition to, and I'm not trying to be Joe Rogan. Like Joe Rogan's a good comedian, but he's a great podcaster if that makes sense, right? So I've seen him do live stand up several times and it's pretty funny. But he's not like funny. He's not Burt Kreischer, Tom Segura, Joe Coy. He's not Dane Cook. Like he's not Chris D'Elia, Louis C.K. Like he's not at that level. But he's found his career in many avenues, but what he's good at is podcasting. Like he's great at that. I don't want a podcast. Like as a career, I don't want to do that. And again, would I do it if I had a crew with me helping me out editing? Like if we came in, we shot it, and then My boy was producing it, and he like starts editing it and uploading and all that, and I can be focused on going to the next comedy show and getting out of here so I can go get my flight to go over to Tennessee to do my next show. Yeah, of course. At that point, I would do it, but that's because I would have a team that I'm working with. Probably the same thing with the interviews, but I only have so much time, and I'm trying to be as hyper focused as I can on comedy and staying in that lane because 9 out of 10 times when people just focus on something, they can get really good at it very quickly. If you're like, I'm going to do this, but I'm also going to do a little bit of this, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of that, a little bit of that. You're throwing shit at the wall hoping something sticks, dude. And that doesn't work. It doesn't work. That's what I believe. I don't think it's going to work. If you're going to try that, try it. But from my experiences, never works. When you focus on something, it works. As long as you put your head down and just keep working. Just keep working at it. Just keep swimming. Just keep swimming. Anyways, not a lot going on today. I think we're going to cut it here and move on. Tomorrow, I'm probably going to try to meet with my boy Miguel, try to write some more jokes. We were talking about, we were on the phone today talking about how we got to meet up because him and I are talking about going on tour next year, and we have someone who can book us out and whatnot. We are our manager said he can. We got to get a third person. We got to name the tour. So why are people going to want to come see it? There's got to be a reason. It's easier for our manager to sell it to comedy clubs and all that. Also, it's easier to sell tickets if people are like, "Oh my god, I gotta go see that." But we need to meet and try to figure that out. So yeah, so that's probably on the docket tomorrow. Also, my son has his last baseball practice. Again, family distractions, but last baseball practice tomorrow, and it's the kids versus the parents, and I gotta go out there and show my stuff. So yeah, hopefully this mic sounds good. Watch it cut out 5 minutes into this production, into this recording, and this has all been a silent film. Hopefully not. Anyways, I love you all. Bye. Yeah, that sounds bad.